We want to start here with some very interesting activities in the country of Turkey, where a U.S. naval ship was greeted by quite a bit of protest when it was docked there in the port city of Izmir. And we are very honored to be joined as we continue this conversation about all of that by Murat Akad, who is a member of the Party Council of the Communist Party of Turkey. Murat, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Eugene. It's great to be with you here.
Well, it's an honor to have you here with us. And your party, Communist Party of Turkey, TKP, led what seemed to me at least to be a large demonstration in Izmir against the USS Wasp, which had docked there as part of, I think some broader military exercises. But tell us why you all felt the need to take to the streets and to the ports on this issue.
Okay, this issue has several dimensions. First of all, it's a symbolic visit. And it's symbolic in different senses. Of course, the protest was against the imperialist involvement in Palestine and the genocide in Palestine, because this ship was sent to the Eastern Mediterranean in order to protect Israel. It was one of those ships. That is also symbolic. Why has this ship been visiting Turkey and not any other one? And another fact that two Turkish battleships were involved in a military exercise in the Eastern Mediterranean recently. Last week, along with ships from other NATO countries, including USS Wasp. Later, the Ministry of Defense has said that when it was protested, this military exercise, they said that this wasn't a military exercise, actually. It was the so-called transition training. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference. This fleet, these ships are there to protect Israel, and Turkey is involved, and that is the issue. This was one of the dimensions, which was symbolic. And of course, there's another dimension, which is more important in Turkey for us. One of the ships that were involved in this military exercise was named Anadolu, a Turkish battleship. And this is a symbolic battleship also. It was declared as the symbol of Turkey's defiance against the US and the Western powers in general. And this ship had arrived in Izmir, the port of Izmir, exactly 1 year ago. And on the same day, 1 year later, the USS Wasp has visited the port of Izmir. This USS Wasp is a very similar ship to the one I mentioned, Anadolu, the Turkish ship. They're both amphibian assault ships. And we think that this is clearly a message from the United States to the people of Turkey and Turkey in general. It's clear that the government, the Turkish government, is accepting this, has accepted this message, and is supporting this process. So we try to reflect the anger of the Turkish people who have been deceived in that sense, continuously deceived. Because behind all these, there's a bargaining process going on. The government, the Turkish government, is bargaining with the USA and the Western powers, and they will eventually come to an agreement. Maybe the ship, the USS Wasp, was sent to Turkey in order to celebrate this agreement. Maybe an agreement has already been reached. We will see that when it is disclosed. Well, we have been protesting battleships, US battleships. In other examples, we have protested them in the past. This latest protest is in line with this tradition, but this time we protested the symbol of the rapprochement between Turkey and the USA, between Turkey and NATO. I think this is important. Mm-hmm. And the government, the Turkish government, had developed a discourse that they call domestic and national. It was developed especially after the coup attempt in 2016. And we all know that at least a part of the US establishment was involved in this coup attempt. So, but we know that this discourse has many contradictions. First of all kinds of relations with the multinational monopolies continued, and Turkey has continued to become a loyal member of NATO. Under these circumstances, this so-called domestic and national discourse did not work. And recently we see that it is regressing. The government is closer to the US line and taking a more pro-NATO position. And behind our protest, the main reason was to protest this latest development.
You know, I'm curious, since October, since this genocide in Gaza had begun, how has that impacted politics in Turkey, both on the ground level in terms of just organizing around various issues, as your party might do, as well as, has it shifted anything in the government?
Well, of course it has. And the government was not honest from the beginning. In appearance, they had a pro-Palestinian approach, a stance, but there were many contradictions. First of all, I think the most concrete issue was the trade that has been going on between Turkey and Israel. I can give you a few figures because I think they're important. Israel was an important trade partner for Turkey. In 2022, Israel was the 10th destination of Turkish exports. And Israel imported 65% of its oil from Azerbaijan via a pipeline in Turkey, imported 65% of its steel from Turkey, and 95% of its cement from Turkey. These are huge figures. And this trade continued for a while after October the 7th last year. And of course, we and other political forces also protested this. And the government had to take steps in order to decrease this pressure. But it took months. And finally, in the month of May this year, the government stopped all the trade between Israel and Turkey, in appearance, of course. And when we look at the official figures, this undisclosed by the Turkish Statistical Institute, we see that the trade between Turkey and Israel has gone down to zero level. But, of course, again, there are some question marks. The trade between Turkey and Palestine, on the other hand, increased by 1,275%. This is interesting because who's going to buy in Palestine the goods from Turkey? Not the people in Gaza. In the West Bank, we know the situation, and all the goods have to go through Israel customs, in order to reach West Bank, and this is not possible. Of course, the figures are low compared to the figures between Turkey and Israel, but still, it raises question marks.
Mm.
No, I think that's a very interesting statistic, I have to say there. And, it just sort of raises another question, and I think it alludes to something you were mentioning earlier, Murat, which is the integration of Turkey into NATO. And it feels like, in many ways, the fact that Turkey has held itself out as a potential partner in the post-war, situation in Gaza, working with the U.S. and others. And I just wanted you to speak a little bit about that because I think the perception for Americans is that Turkey is really, kind of like pro-Russia or against the United States or all these different sorts of pieces as opposed to a, significant part of the broader NATO coalition.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to say that the Turkish government has developed the ability to make maneuvers in a broader area and to, it's not easy to use the word autonomous, but had developed the ability to act more autonomously. Because in the past, Turkey had been a loyal ally of the Western powers, the USA. But in recent years, especially in the last 8 years, as I said, they have developed this ability. But it's not only Turkey. When we look at the imperialist system, we see that other countries, because of the crisis of hegemony, which has started mainly in 2008, the US and Western powers have stumbled. And so other countries have developed these abilities to maneuver more autonomously. Turkey is one of them. And of course, this has affected the relations between Turkey and NATO and Turkey and the USA. But when they look at the future, they know that they have to take sides because things are going to reach a point where the maybe two sides will confront each other. So Turkey, the Turkish bourgeoisie feel the need to take sides. And I think now they're preparing for this moment.
And I want to bring it back to the issue of Gaza real quick, because I'm just curious if you could talk a little bit about, the criticisms your party has, and I think a lot of people have, because the Turkish officials are very rhetorically strong in how they talk about Palestine, but Turkey maintains this relationship with Israel. So I'm curious, what are the criticisms here when it comes to the Turkish government's complicity in what Israel's doing across Palestine?
Well, yes, of course, there are many people who are protesting this fact. For example, when we started the protests against the USS Wasp, when the ship visited Izmir, a lot of people on the street and in the social media, etc., and a lot of people from the more conservative parts of the society, Islamic parts of the society, I should say, they believe that they should also have been protesting. The government should also have been protesting the arrival of USS Wasp, but they didn't. So a lot of people see this as a hypocrisy, and so they can see who's honest, who's sincere about what's going on in Palestine, and who is not. I think this was an important issue, important fact that helped the people to see, at least a part of the society, to see what is exactly right to do and what the government should have done but did not do.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's an important question, and I guess it just raises a question in my mind of if you expect in the future. I mean, I know you all will continue to protest and raise these issues continually, but do you feel there's a possibility of a rising tide of anti-NATO, anti-collaborationist sort of feeling because of what people have seen here in terms of how things have played out with the relationship between the two countries, the U.S., Turkey, and its relationship to what's happening in the Middle East?
Yeah, that is our aim, and we're trying to explain to the Turkish people about what's really going on. And the party will be involved in a campaign, in an anti-NATO campaign, starting soon, in 2 weeks, even less than 2 weeks, actually. And yes, that is an important picture from the port of Izmir. Mm-hmm. And so we'll try to explain this to the people. It's going to be very important. Otherwise, the Turkish people will be deceived again, will be betrayed again. And they will be open to even bigger dangers, because a more general war or the war in Ukraine, the reflections of the war in Ukraine on Turkey, the reflections of a possible more general war in the Middle East on Turkey. And because of these, the Turkish people will be more unsecure in their own country. And we have to explain this to the people. To be a part of NATO, to be a member of NATO for Turkey, it doesn't bring any kind of security. On the contrary, it makes the Turkish people very insecure.
Mm-hmm. Well, Murat, we really appreciate you being willing to join us here on the show, and excellent to see and to hear all of the various different aspects of what's going on there, including the organizing of the TKP. Murat Akad, member of the Party Council of the Communist Party of Turkey, thanks so much for giving us some of your time here on the Freedom Side.
Thank you.